What's up YouTube? So maybe you've been on the internet and you've been put off by just how much it costs for all the equipment to start your very own YouTube channel. Well, if you can stick around till the end of this video, I'll show you just how easy it is to turn your boring old smartphone footage from this into that badass. I'd just like to start the video by saying thank you so much for stopping by. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you're all doing as well as can be, given the rough circumstances most of us have been faced with during 2020. We actually lost our beautiful boy in February due to DIPG. I hope you have a great day. Cherish your family, cherish the memories you create, and maybe you can all sit down together right now, watch this video, smash the like button, and let me know what you love doing most with your family in the comment section below. Off we go. Okay, so starting off, we're just going to talk about that smartphone that I mentioned earlier. Now, you might not realise, but the cameras in most smartphones today, even at the budget end of the market, are actually perfectly acceptable at producing 1080p quality video for YouTube. Mr. Beast is a perfect example, who used an iPhone 5 to film many of his earlier films, and he's now one of the biggest YouTubers and the highest earning YouTuber that there is. Given the right treatment both before, during and after filming, there's not really an excuse for creating bad footage off of your smartphone, with little to no cost to get you started. So what I'm going to show you today actually has bare minimum outlay. So if you're young, or you're not quite sure you want to really get into filming yet, so you don't really want to spend a lot of money, what I'm going to show you today costs less than £100.
Next up, we're talking video quality, and as you can see by this, it's absolutely terrible. It's painful to see, and there's a few things that we can do about it to start off. So the first thing is rotate. We're not used to seeing videos shot in portrait, so we want to try and keep it in landscape just like this. The next thing is that awful camera that we're using, which is the one that you find on the front of your phone for video calling. This one's only 8 megapixels, and yeah, I know some of the higher end phones have got better quality cameras, but still, it's not as good as your rear facing camera. The other thing about this is I find it quite hard not to look at yourself on the screen just to see what you're doing, and it causes a bit of a distraction that we don't really need. So use the rear facing camera. Now we've turned our phone around, we've actually got another problem. I can't actually see myself. So there are a couple of ways around this. One is that we could use mirrors, either stuck to the phone like a little one, or we could have one off to the side and kind of look into the mirror to compose the image. We could maybe use HDMI leads to external monitors like TVs. And lastly, you could cast. So casting is usually where you've got something on your phone and you can send it to another device, such as a TV. I'm using Android and I'm not using a Chromecast. So if you're interested in the app that I use, I'll put a link in the description. Right, so that leads us nicely onto this next bit, which is about the software. When you buy a smartphone with a camera, it comes with a video and photo software pre-installed, and it's not quite as good as it could be. And there are apps out there that I'm going to show you in a second that allow you to alter certain settings like you would in a DSLR, for example.
The app you want to install is called Filmic Pro, and on it you've got the option to change the resolution, which you want to put to the highest available. On my phone it's 1080p. The next option that you want to change is the frame rate. The frame rate should ideally be 24, 25. Lastly, you might want to adjust the audio, so make it the highest quality audio that you can, and if you've got an option to put a microphone in, this is where you'd select external microphone. Have your grid on so that it helps you separate your composition, and then you can add hardware if you need to. You can adjust the exposure manually, you can adjust the shutter speed, the focus and zoom manually. You can also select the focus, where you want to focus, and where you want the exposure to be centered around. Lastly, you can adjust the white balance, which is also really handy to get that effect that you're after. This is actually quite a taxing app for your phone, so you might want to put your phone into performance mode. So an updated and higher end phone is probably going to work better than one of the older models.
From video, we're going to now move on to audio. Now, some people believe audio is more important than video. If you've ever seen a pirate copied movie, you'll know exactly what I mean. You can just about watch a film when it's got a blurry screen and the sound's good, but if the sound's bad and the picture's perfect, you just can't watch it. I actually agree with them. So now we're going to move on to the next bit, which is audio. And as you can tell, I'm using the phone's audio. It's very echoey and a little bit sort of tinny. It's perfectly fine for everything we'd need on a phone usually. However, for a YouTube video, you're going to want slightly better. I would recommend that you get a microphone. Now, I thought that microphones were just going to break the bank. Yeah, I've seen all the videos with people with £200-300 mics, £1,000 mics, and I was just like, whoa, that's a lot of money to spend. And when you're starting out, you don't necessarily know whether you're going to enjoy it, or whether you're going to be good at it, or whether people are going to want to watch you. And so it's better to start out cheap. But obviously, if you go cheap, there will be a difference. However, I would say that it's still an improvement on the actual mic that's built in. So I've got my mic turned on now, and hopefully you can tell the difference between before and after. Okay guys, so now we're going to move on to one of the most important aspects of filming for YouTube by far, is the composition. As you can see, I've filmed this entire video so far with my smartphone in my hand. That is not going to cut it. Okay, now you could do it all ghetto style and have it lent up somewhere while you do all the talking, do what you're doing, but you're still kind of tied up. And that's okay if you didn't have a plan of filming that day, for example, and something cropped up and you couldn't miss it, then obviously that's going to do. However, you've not really got an option of framing. So what can we do about this problem then? It's a very simple fix actually. A tripod and this mount. The mount that I got for the phone cost about 10 quid off Amazon, and it's absolutely amazing. It's built out of aluminium and it's got two ball joints, one at either end, that basically give it almost 100% movement, and it's got this nice handy spring clamp that holds your phone in place. Now you can either get one of the Joby style Gorilla Pods, or you can get the knockoff version off of eBay for a tenner, or you can get the traditional style aluminium sort of fold out tripod. Again, you can get them for around a tenner as well. Nice and cheap. The cheaper it is, the more likely you are to use it, but obviously you are compromising on the build quality and also the features sometimes. Now we've tweaked our composition, we've got a nice steady camera. I've framed it nice and neatly as well. I've got a couple of props in here that sort of add to the vibe, and I've selected an outfit that's like suitable for that video type. For example, if you're doing a sporty video, you might want to wear sport clothing. If you're doing a finance video talking about investing, for example, you might want to wear like a sort of smart shirt, smart jacket or something. We're going to talk about lighting. Now, as you can see, there's nothing special about the lighting in this room. It's just straight off the ceiling and the walls, and there's no focus anywhere. There's all sorts of unwanted shadows being cast on my face. So the lighting that I'm going to use has got two light sources. We've got a key light, which is the big main light that shines on you from one position, usually 11 or 1 o'clock. And then we've got a reflector that looks just like this, that's got a gold for a warm reflection, white, and then we've got a black and silver as well. That's going to be used instead of a fill light, which would be your second light, just to sort of lighten up the shadows a little bit. Then I'm going to use a rim light or a backlight. I've actually just got my bicycle torch here, so I'm going to have this sort of like shining from behind to like give me sort of like a halo silhouette, to make me stand out from the background. And I'm going to put that somewhere behind me. And then also I'm going to concentrate on what props I want. So whether I want these lights on, whether I want like another little sort of back prop light in there, just to sort of make the background a little bit more interesting. There we are guys. So I've got the lighting set up with a key light, reflector, prop and a rim light. Hopefully you can see that it's made some kind of difference and it makes it look a little bit more professional. And don't forget that you can play around with this lighting and it'll add a completely different feel to it. I'll do that in a second. But now you know that on an extremely tight budget that most people can afford, you can actually make your footage turn from that what you saw at the beginning of the video to this with the same camera and probably about 60 quid. You could probably get it even cheaper if you really needed to. and there are things that you can go without. So for example, the key light, you could just sit next to a window. The reflector, you can use tin foil or those mats that go in your windscreen to stop frost, to stop the heat coming in. I've got a bicycle light behind me there. You could easily replace that for like a kid's torch. So yeah, have a bit of a play around and you'll see that it does make a difference. So there we have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video. Don't forget, like, subscribe, put a comment down below. Any interactions with this channel helps it grow, helps it get noticed by YouTube, and it passes it on to other people then, because they can see that people like it. A couple of bonus tips for you, for those people that stayed till the end. Your smartphone goes everywhere with you, and that camera lens can get quite dirty, so make sure that you wipe off any sort of grease or dirt. Then that way it'll reduce the chances of speckles and smears and lack of focus. Turn your phone on to do not disturb. I've already had it once today. I was doing this and somebody started trying to ring me and I had to stop and do that clip again. Also, you might want to turn any alarms that you know might be going off as well. So put do not disturb. Make sure there's no alarms or timers. Once you've finished filming, you're going to want to edit. Now, if you've got an iPhone, easy, iMovie. If you've got an Android, you can use Blender or Lightworks, and they're free, largely free, with some features extra that you could pay for. However, I use Premiere Pro with Adobe because I find I also like to make thumbnails on Photoshop, and I also use After Effects sometimes as well. Now, thank you very much for viewing this video. Don't forget, I want to hear from you. Put something down there in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you think I've earned it. And even better, subscribe. And also, I've got a quick question for some of you out there as well. Have you tried filming like this with your smartphone before? And if so, what equipment did you use?